Hey peeps, how are ya? It's April 21st, Thursday, I think. Isn't it April 21st? Yeah, April 21st, Thursday. Yesterday was 420. Happy belated 420. I hope you did what you had to do on 420. I know I did. Uh-huh. But 420 is pretty much every day for me. You understand what I'm saying? I thought you did. So tonight I'm going to talk about a band I really, really love, and it's shifting away from the type of genre that I usually talk about, which is steeped in electronic, industrial, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, so Teenage Fanclub. I was, as I always do, I was going through my storage unit and I came across my Teenage Fanclub record collection. And over the last few weeks, I have been recording my Fanny records onto digital, and I love this band. Now, I love Teenage Fanclub because in the face of everything I don't like about rock and roll music, these guys, these guys do all the things I typically don't like, and I still love them. And what I mean by that is, rock music bores me. Like when a rock band comes out and they do their Rocky album, it can be fine, but I think, for me personally, I like it when a band changes their direction. Like you do one rock album, and maybe the next album you do a jazz tone, and then a country tone, and then a techno tone. I try different things. I get bored with a band that just kind of pumps out the same crap every time. And that's why I generally don't like rock music. Like electronic artists usually kind of understand this. They try to go in slightly different directions and they try different things and they experiment. It's about experimentation. And I really appreciate that in music and film and all art. And by the way, those of you who said I should talk about film, thank you. I appreciate that. And I will. I'm going to talk about film at some point. But back to Teenage Fanclub. With Teenage Fanclub, they have never ever changed their approach to how they make music ever. And in the face of that, after what I just said, I still love them. The reason I love Teenage Fanclub is that they are exceptionally talented songwriters. They can't not write. And I know that's a double negative, but I don't care. They can't not write a great song. They just have this insane, immense talent bubbling in their veins to write great songs. And that's what they do. They still are around, okay? Their first album came out in 1990. And now in 2022, they're still a band. Now they lost one of their principal songwriters. He's not with the band anymore. Gerard Love. I think he's not in the band anymore because he doesn't want to tour with the band. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what I read. He's not into touring anymore. So he's just not really part of the band, which sucks because, you know, some of his songs are the greatest Teenage Fanclub songs. And that leads me to another thing I love about Teenage Fanclub is that they are a band. You know, they have a couple of chief songwriters, but then the other guys in the band write songs too, and they're great. The main songwriters are Norman Blake and Gerard Love. They've written the majority of their big hits, but they also have Raymond McGinley, who has written some brilliant songs on his own. So it's like a real band, you know what I mean? There's no weird attitude with them. And that's another thing I love about Teenage Fanclub is most bands, there's always some kind of level of machismo in every rock and roll band, always some kind of douchey element. Not with Teenage Fanclub. They're just like a really rootsy, down to earth group of guys. They're from Scotland, by the way. And they're just a real bunch of dudes who happen to be insanely talented when it comes to writing songs. And they sprinkle the wealth around. It's not like the Beatles where it was all Lennon and McCartney, and Harrison had to fight to get his songs in there. No, they're a band. Like if you have a good song, you bring it to the table and they put it out. You'll notice on their records, like it's usually pretty evenly distributed in terms of who writes the songs. Not so much anymore because Gerard Love's not there, but um, back in the 90s, especially, their records were very much so a collaboration. You know, it's like, oh, there's a Love song. Oh, there's a Blake song. There's a McGinley song. It was a band, you know? But again, what I love about Teenage Fan Club more than anything is their ability to never change, which I normally don't like, but always be great. I mean, they don't have a single bad album, and that is not an exaggeration. So I'm going to go through the albums I have here, and I have a number of singles as well. I don't have all the singles, okay? I have a lot, but not all. Uh, but I have all the albums, and I'm going to talk about those. So I'll go back to the beginning. My first introduction my intro to Teenage Fan Club was this: a Catholic Education is the name of this record. This came out in 1990. It's a track listing right there. And this is the US issue on Matador. Sorry for the glare there, but it's nighttime here, so I've got lights on and there's glare. I apologize for that. But this is on Matador Records, 1990. This is a really cool album. I'll take it out of the sleeve. It has a gatefold jacket happening here. Someone wearing a mask. There's the label. Got some aliens. Got the Matador label. This was their first record, and it is very good. I think it gets ignored a lot in their catalog because it doesn't sound like the Teenage Fan Club that we've become accustomed to. It definitely has this Sonic Youth kind of vibe to it. Back then, I think they were very much inspired by that sound, and you can hear it. It's not a bad thing. It's just not what people were used to hearing when it comes to Teenage Fan Club. The sound is a little more raw, like you would hear on a Sonic Youth album. But the tunes are there, like they're not fully realized. It's very garagey sounding. It's raw. It's the most raw Teenage Fan Club album you will hear. It's just got that. To compare it to Sonic Youth is an easy thing. I think a lot of people have done that, and it makes sense. It does kind of have that raw, punky, early '90s sound to it. And again, that's a good thing. It's just not really what we think of when we think of Teenage Fan Club now. Teenage Fan Club are like kind of, the power pop brilliance that they are now, but not on this record. This is a little more indie, punky, whatever-y. Still great album. So some classic cuts on here. Here's the track list. Everything Flows, the first song, is the song I think a lot of people might have heard. Most of the rest of this record, though, I don't know a lot of people have ever heard. A great album. I would highly recommend this for any Teenage Fan Club fan or any rock music fan. It's a very cool album. That came out in 1990. Now, I listened to this I had a Sonic Youth period at this time. And I've never been a huge Sonic Youth fan, but at the time, I think someone recommended Teenage Fan Club to me since I like Sonic Youth. And I ended up liking Catholic Education more than any Sonic Youth album I'd ever heard. So that was my intro to this band. I started at the beginning. Now, Catholic Education would not prepare me for how much I absolutely positively loved this record. Bandwagon-esque. Now, to this day, this is one of my all-time favorite rock records. This is a beautiful album. The leap they took from Catholic Education to this is stunning. Now, I assume this is the album that most Teenage Fan Club fans know of. I would argue this is probably their most popular, and for good reason. This is an insanely good album. I mean, every song on this album, with the exception of Satan's just kind of a short interlude song. Every song on here could be a single, and that is not an exaggeration. That's how good this album is. Every song on this album is out of this world good. Top to bottom, a brilliant, brilliant record. Again, this is the original UK issue. This has been repressed. Um, I don't know who did the repress, but the records they put out on Creation were all reissued. Now, again, Catholic Education was not on Creation. That was on Matador here in the U.S. I don't know where it came out on in the U.K. or Europe. There's the label for the original Creation issue. I assume it might be different for the reissue, but this record, what I mean, it's difficult to express what this album means to me. This album came out now. Try to put yourself in my shoes too. This album came out when I was 18 years old in 1991, and also get your mind wrapped around that too. 1991. Go back and look at some of the albums that came out that year. It was a massive year for music. We're talking Nirvana, Nevermind, Primal Scream, Screamadelica, the self-titled electronic album, KLF, The White Room. I mean, Pearl Jam, that 10 album. I can't stand Pearl Jam. They're shit, but it was a big album. There's a ton of huge albums that came out that year. This is the best album that came out this year, with the exception of Screamadelica. I will say Screamadelica means a little bit more to me than this, but it's a close race. They're both on Creation, by the way. Big year for Creation. But this is one of my all-time favorite albums. I might even put this in my top 10. Insane album. It's just a very nostalgic thing for me too. I heard this at that time in your life when you're very impressionable. And in 1991, I was so obsessed with rave culture and techno and house and disco and acid house, and I was getting so wrapped up in that. Like I didn't listen to a lot of rock music, but this was one album I did listen to, and I still do to this day. Sorry, it's kind of blurry there. Let me get some refocus here. Sorry about that. This is an insane record. It's one of those records that it's difficult to verbalize how important and how incredibly great this record is. And it kind of came out of nowhere too, because Catholic Education was before this, and it just didn't sound anything like this. It went from like that raw, punky sound to this, like these fully realized um, Beach Boys-esque, Beach Boys level grandiosity songs that you didn't get with Catholic Education. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, you look at this track list and the concept, December, What You Do to Me, Star Sign, every song on here, a crazy good album. Again, you've probably heard this. And the nutty thing is, I have days where I'm not even sure this is my favorite Teenage Fanclub record. There are a few records that come after this that I might put up there with this one. Just insanely good. Again, if you've seen this cover, and I assume a lot of you have, if you've never sat down to really let this album soak in, I highly recommend you do. It is a beautiful record, one of the greatest rock albums of all time, period. Again, I can't speak to the repress of this. This original issue on Creation sounds pretty good. I will say there's a lot of music crammed onto one side, so the sound is fine, but I'm eager to hear some of those represses. I haven't picked one up. I'm wondering if it sounds better or worse or what. Maybe someone that's watching this video can tell me. Now, here's some singles that came from the album. This is the concept. Actually, this is the first single from Bandwagon-esque. Here you go. Good B. That was another thing about Teenage Fanclub. Their B-sides were always really good. They never put out. They don't put out bad songs. That's the kind of band they are. I think I think they think it would be a disservice to their fans if they did anything less than stellar, even their B-sides. I mean, you just don't. There just isn't any such thing as a bad Teenage Fanclub song. Here's the "What You Do to Me" single. I don't know. I think this might have been the last single from the album. There were 3 singles. This one, I think, yeah, this one has a poster that came with it. I'll hold this up. Why not? I'm babbling about it, so I might as well hold this up. This is the poster that came with this single. You'll see they're wearing a Primal Scream Screamadelica shirt. I always thought this was a good poster of them too. It illustrates very well what they're like as a band. Good-natured, good senses of humor, but they just happen to be like insanely talented and just straight up geniuses when it comes to writing music. So there's that part too. They're the guys next door, but they happen to be geniuses on top of it. And genius is a word that gets thrown around a lot, and it shouldn't be. But I truly think that a couple members in this band, mainly Blake and Love, have the germ of the genius. Their songwriting ability is just insane. And then here's the other single, Star Sign. Now this is noteworthy. The cover they do of Like a Virgin, Madonna, obviously. They do a cover version of Like a Virgin, and it is excellent. I'm not a Madonna fan by any means, but this is the best cover version of a Madonna song I've ever heard. So get this for Star Sign, obviously, but also get it for the excellent Madonna cover version, because how often do you get to listen to a Madonna song and enjoy it? Now, listen, I'm not a Madonna fan, but that's the one time I can actually sit down and listen to Madonna and not want to kick something. Okay, so that leads me to their next album. This is their 3rd album, 13. I still have the record store I bought it from at the time, back in '93, put their sticker on it. How dare they? I haven't tried to take it off, but this is the UK issue. I'll pull it out. Here's the inner sleeve, and there's the label, and blah 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 blah. Now this album generally gets put toward the bottom of their albums in terms of people's favorites, and I understand why. This is the least Teenage Fanclubby album they ever put out. I think most fannies will agree with that. This just isn't, there's not a lot of that really uplifting power poppy feel that they're known for on this album. It's more of a down-tempo, sullen album. But you know what? It's a great record. It's different. It's a little different than anything they ever did. It's still awesome. This album has aged really well, exceptionally well. There's the track listing. And a number of these songs could have been singles. As a whole, this is a great record. Yeah, it's probably my least favorite in their catalog. Does that mean it's not excellent? No. It is a great record. You need to have every Teenage Fanclub album. And again, this is toward the bottom, but it doesn't matter. It's still a very, very nice work. Here are a couple of singles from the album. Norman 3. Oh, this came with a poster as well. They put little bonuses in all these. This has a poster of their faces, and the idea was to cut them out, as you can see. See if I can get this to. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Cut out their faces and have fun with it. This is Love. This is Blake, the 2 major songwriters. You probably can't hear me because, sorry, my hand's covering my face. Love, Blake. Anyway, here's the band. The idea was to cut it out and then wrap it around your face and have a good time with it. Anyway, this is, I don't know if this is the first single from the album. Somebody help me out there. I think it was Norman 3. This is a Norman Blake song. He and Love, the majority of the singles they put out were either a Blake song or a Love song. And then this is the other. This is a love song. This is Radio. This is another single from the album. Great song. Now, this is an album that sometimes I feel like I like every bit as much as Bandwagon-esque. They rebounded after 13 with this. I think a lot of fannies would agree that some of their best work is on this record, and I couldn't argue with them. On some days, this is my favorite Teenage Fanclub record. This is a brilliant album. Again, every song on here, man, could be a single easily. It is insane how good this record is. This came out in 1995. It's got one of the best 1-2 punches to start an album. About You, and then Sparky's Dream right after it. Then you have Mellowed Out, Don't Look Back. I mean, Neil Young, please, seriously. This record is insane. It is so good. Not a single bad wasted second on it. In fact, I'll show this. This is the original UK issue. This came, I think it's still in there. This came with a 7-inch. There it is. This came with a 7-inch with some extra tracks on it. I don't know if the repress came with this. I would assume it didn't. This was part of the limited edition initial press, so I don't know. It does have some tracks on the 7-inch that I've never seen elsewhere, so it's definitely worth finding this original press and getting that 7-inch if you can. I don't know how. I assume this is pretty hard to find, but great, insanely good record. Again, not a bad song on here. You drop the needle down on this album, and you're gonna have 45 minutes of bliss, not a wasted second on there. All right. Now, during this album, during this phase, they stopped releasing 12 inches. Like, their singles weren't released in 12-inch form, other than a promo. They only did 7 inches. So I don't have a lot of 7 inches in my collection. But let me see if I can. There we go. See if I can get that halfway onto my face there. Talk like this. This is Sparky's Dream. And I think a lot of. Here. Yeah, is that working? There we go. I just wasted like a full minute on that. I apologize. I think a lot of Teenage Fanclub fans will say that this is their favorite song. And again, I can't argue with them. This is an insanely good song. Gerard Love track. That's him right there. Sparky's Dream. If you like power pop albums or power pop songs that are rich and drenched with guitars and loud drums and strong vocals, it does not get any better than this. This is one of the finest pop songs you will ever hear. Period. In any time zone, in any point in history. One of the finest pop, rock pop, power pop, whatever the hell you want to call it. One of the best. One of the best ever. Sparky's Dream. And this version on the 7-inch is the exact same version you get on the album. So this does have a B-side on it. It's a Neil Young song, Burned. It's okay. I don't know. I don't know that I'd recommend buying this for that. You get the exact same version if you buy Grand Prix. Here's another single I bought from that time period. This is Mellowed Out. This is a Norman Blake track. As you can see, there he is. There he is. Fucking great song. Just these guys can't write bad songs. Do you understand? They just can't do it. It's not in their blood. They sit down and they just write genius tracks. Now this single came out, I think I put it in this order. Teenage Fanclub have lost it. This came out after Grand Prix. In fact, should have the year right here. 1990. Yeah, 95. This came out at the end of the singles being released for Grand Prix, and it basically has acoustic versions of these tracks. Everything Flows from Catholic Education, Star Sign, from Bandwagon S. Some older tracks, acoustic versions. Again, only on a 7-inch. I think I've never seen a 12-inch of this. This is all I've ever seen. So I highly recommend this. Excellent, excellent acoustic versions of some classic Teenage Fanclub songs. Okay, this is another album that sometimes I think, God damn, do I like this one the best? Is this one better than Bandwagon-esque? This is a great record. It is so good, top to bottom. Every song is insane. Any song on here could be a single, for real. The first, again, the 1-2 punch of Start Again and Ain't That Enough. Oh, man, what a way to, these guys, I mean, no one starts off an album like Teenage Fanclub. I mean, just those two songs alone, arguably the greatest songs they ever did. In fact, you know, more often than not, I feel like Start Again is my favorite Teenage Fanclub song, which is saying a lot how much I love this band. This is the original UK issue. I'll pull this out. You know, I don't know what the represses look like. There's the label. I assume that the represses probably look very much like these. I don't know. I would love to hear this. If some of you have the reissues, I'd love to hear what they sound like, because I have thought about picking them up, but you know, I've kept these in pretty good shape, and these copies sound pretty damn good even after 25, 30 years of use. But I'd still love to hear how they sound, the represses. Insane album. I mean, everything I just said about Grand Prix is also true for this. Every song you see on here, I mean, the whole album could have been a single. That's how talented these guys are. I don't have every single from this album, but these are the singles I do have. Start Again and Ain't That Enough. Again, 7 inches. I've never seen a 12-inch for those. And here is, let me grab these, put these over here. This is a song they did for the World Cup. Long Shot. It's a boring generic sleeve. I picked this up at the time. World Cup track. That's what that is. Pretty good song too. Not bad. Again, they don't do anything bad. This is the album they put out after that. Howdy. Great record. I think a lot of people, they had left, Creation went under after Songs from Northern Britain. And, you know, I didn't even mention the title, Songs from Northern Britain. There it is. You probably saw that when I held it up. Here's Howdy. This came out after Creation folded. Creation went under, I think, in 99 or 2000, something like that. And this came out in 2000. So this is the first post-Creation album. Great record, man. It's definitely a little different than the previous couple of albums, but you know, the songwriting is still there. A lot of people, I think a lot of fans move this down the list, and I understand why it sounds a little different. Maybe a little tiny less, a tiny bit less inspired, but still great. Amazing album. Tons of great songs on here. Another album where, I mean, literally any song could be a single. Seriously. Came with a gatefold sleeve. Here you go. You know, I think the inner is just it's just a plain generic. Excellent record. Don't let anyone talk you out of listening to this. It might be one of those records that is not quite as good as the previous few, but come on, not many records are. Howdy. And this has been repressed too. If someone's heard that, please let me know the quality of that. I'd love to hear about it. I hold this one up as, well, for what it is. This isn't a studio album. It's a greatest hits compilation. I think this came out in 2003, 2002. Wow, I've had this for 20 years. Oh my God. That is crazy. Sorry it's so blurry. Hang on a second. I apologize for the blurriness there. I don't know what to do about that. It's a little dark in here. The lighting is a little wonky. I apologize for that. But this is a greatest hits compilation. 4,766 seconds. Shortcut to Teenage Fanclub. It's just a compilation, but it's cool because it has 3 songs that were released just for this comp. So you do get some exclusive material here. I'll open up the gatefold. It is a gatefold sleeve. There you go. The inner sleeves are just generic, so there's nothing to see there, but get a nice lush gatefold sleeve. It's a nice package. It's well pressed. I don't think this has ever been repressed. It's just a very, if you're a Teenage Fanclub fanny like I am, you need to have this. It's got some songs on here that were never released. In particular, sorry, there we go with the blurriness again, but The World Will Be Okay. Excellent song. And that's a McGinley song too, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a McGinley song. Excellent song. One of their best. And you only get it here. So yeah, get this. Listen to it. It's awesome. Now after that, I'm going to hold these all up together. I feel like that's the bulk of their really brilliant records where the band was just firing on all cylinders. I'm going to hold these up. These are their more recent albums. This is Man-Made, Shadows, Here. All excellent records, by the way, and Endless Arcade. These 4, they put these out. This came out in 2005, and this came out, I think, in 2018, just a few years ago. These records are all they're all cut from the same cloth. They're a little different, slightly different than the creation period. They actually are, I hate to say that they're almost Americana type sound, but they are kind of. It's a little more, their sound is softened a little bit on these records, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. These are great records, one and all 4 of these records, but they're just a little different. They're the stuff they did in the 90s just had this very classic jangly pop sound that I don't think they've been able to replicate since. These are maybe a little more steeped in folk and blues. Not a bad thing. I'm not dismissing that as a bad thing. These are great records, all 4 of these, but they're a little different. It seems like after Howdy, they kind of reshifted and took a few years and to rethink their approach to what they did, and their sound is a little different. I feel like all 4 of these last recent albums of theirs, their most recent, all are cut from the same cloth. They all do a nice job continuing on with the previous record in their songwriting, their musicianship, and they're just again their ability to write unbelievably catchy rock pop tunes. They just have it in their blood. Sometimes people are just so talented that way. You can't take it out of them. You couldn't beat it out of them if you tried. They're just that talented. And now that I'm thinking about it, I have another record. I totally forgot to pull it out. Norman Blake put out an album. I forgot the guy's name. The name of the band is New Mendicants. I can't remember the other guy, but it was Norman Blake and another guy. I have that record and I forgot to pull it out. But if you find the New Mendicants record, get it. It is amazing. Songwriting is superb. Excellent record. If you like the Teenage Fanclub, get the New Mendicants album. And I think they only have the one record. So go find the New Mendicants. Sorry, I don't have that. Maybe it might be around here somewhere. The glory of editing. Okay, I just paused it and I went and dug it out. It was right behind me. The New Mendicants. Here's that record I was talking about. Into the Lime. Get this record. It is so good. Here's on clear wax. Excellent pressing. I've played it a few times. It sounds great. So definitely check this record out. If you like the Teenage Fanclub, you will love this. Just excellently written songs, tons of soul dripping off this album. Highly recommended. Okay, that's my Teenage Fanclub video, and Thank you for hanging with me in the beginning while I rant. Listen, the world pisses me off. Um, for those of us who are passionate and have a lot of love in our hearts and want to believe that people do the right thing, it's hard to stay on track sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I think people's motivations are really skewed, more so than any time I've been alive. And some of these things, sometimes I just think it's healthy to get these things off your chest because you can either pretend that you don't see these things or you can verbalize it and have people back you up. And that's what you people do for me. And I appreciate that because, you know, as someone who's been on this planet for almost 50 years now, I see things that, you get into this mindset where the norm becomes disturbing and you start ignoring the norm. You start ignoring these things that as you grew up in life were wrong. Like when you were a kid, you saw these things happen and you thought, wow, that's really fucked up. Now those things that you grew up with that were fucked up, now they're just the norm. And so, as an adult, you start questioning, like, am I going crazy? Are these things I'm seeing, like these people who are self-obsessed and obsessed with social media and always trying to sell shit, sell themselves, always trying to make a dollar, people talking about money in itself, like money is some artistic expression in itself when it's not. You start noticing these things and you're like, well, I guess I just have to push it down. This is the norm. If I bring it up, people are going to look at me like I'm crazy. But no, my argument is those people are crazy. The people that notice this shit and don't want to put up with it, they're the ones that are sensitive. They're the ones that are noticing these negative trends in our society. And the world's getting smaller. I've talked about this before, but that's the one thing that sucks about the internet. The countries are becoming more nebulous with this social media bullshit. You know, just as recently as 20 years ago, you could go to a different country and it would be completely different. But that's how the internet makes this world smaller. Like societies are becoming more aligned with each other. Everyone's looking to make a dollar. Everyone's talking about money. How can I get ahead? And we'll step on anybody else who gets in our way to get there. I really feel like it's a small minority of humanity that's like this, but the people that are like this are all over the place on the internet, on social media. It's all we see. When we check our email, that's what we see. We see these blips of this clickbait, and you click on it. It just makes you feel badly about yourself and the world, and it's just awful. It's really depressing. So, thank you for listening to me. This YouTube channel lets me kind of get that out. And again, if it's just one person who agrees with these things I'm saying, that it definitely affirms my beliefs and that I'm not the only one out there who believes this stuff because it's really frustrating and I don't like to ignore it. I'm an emotional person and I like to get things off my chest rather than pretend it's not there, because if you pretend it's not there and you just fall in line, that's fascism. And I would rather die than be a fascist. And I think it's way more important for people to have their own voice and their own opinion rather than just falling in line and being a tool and selling your fucking self and your soul and whatever else you want to call it on social media. I mean, to me, you've already made that step just by having a social media account. That's why I don't have Facebook. That's why I don't have Twitter. That's why I don't have Instagram. I don't have these things. Just having YouTube makes me feel weird enough. But I've been able to, I don't know, you rationalize things, right? I mean, you make exceptions. I mean, that's all we do all day, every day is we rationalize. So I've rationalized having a YouTube channel. I'm glad I'm here. But now that I am here, I want to make it, in my view, a positive experience. And that positive experience involves me telling people who are money obsessed to go fuck themselves. Don't subscribe to a channel. Don't give people your money. Don't click on their bait. Don't do it. Every time you do that, it makes the world a worse place. That's just my opinion. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I've rambled a lot tonight, but hey, I'm in a mood. I had a good day, and now it's even better because I got to get this shit off my chest. But the main thing is Teenage Fanclub. Listen to me. Check this band out. Teenage Fanclub. Do it. This album in particular, we've all heard bandwagon-esque, right? We've heard that. This is a great, I mean, any Teenage Fanclub record is a good starting point, but this is a great record. This might be a close second to bandwagon-esque for me. I mean, anything. Grant, from one day to the next, I can't choose a favorite. Grand Prix might be my favorite today. In fact, I'll probably put this on when I'm done making this video. So anyway, thanks again for hanging with me, and I'm going to get out of here, and thanks for hanging with me again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.